Hi, my name is Nicole and thank you so much for joining me today for another flow. Today we are keeping in the theme of autumn and fall, and we're going to be doing a cozy and centered flow. So a lot of seated positions in today's flow, definitely beginner level. If you have any blocks, I will be offering variations utilizing them, and you can have a strap or any tool that aids your practice that you really love. And we're gonna get started. The theme for today's flow is again that cozy and kind of centered feeling. So really diving into the themes of fall. I've talked about this in a couple of flows, but obviously we have different themes with every season that passes and comes. So with fall, we're seeing the energy shift towards winter, but we're not quite there yet. So fall is a really wonderful transition. The leaves are changing and everything, including nature, is really starting to just come into its shell, get what it needs, build up the energy to hibernate and to take shelter during the winter. So that's the theme of today's practice, is that kind of cozy and centering that we're doing, really channeling that shift in energy as we come into winter soon, which is crazy. So starting, we're just going to be in our easy peasy pose, as I have dubbed it. So grounding into all four corners of the sit bones, sitting up nice and tall. As always, if you find a roundness in the upper body, I will invite you to lean into it the other way, kind of bring the shoulder blades just together with a little pinch there, holding here for 3 deep breaths as we kind of bring and invite in that cozy energy, that centered energy, maybe even thinking on where we feel the coziest, like what are the optimal conditions for our definition of cozy and centered. For me, it's cold around me. The blankets are, keeping me warm though. Maybe I have my heating pad. I have a plushie or my loved ones or my dog. So it's cold ambiently, but I myself am toasty. Maybe there's a movie on, some hot cocoa or tea. It's just those autumn vibes are perfect. So we'll do one more breath, just thinking on our perfect cozy situation. Very good. And then we're going to inhale, bring both hands up. Right hand comes down to the floor, left hand comes up and over. Let's get a little side body stretch here. Holding here just a couple breaths. We're just warming up. Feel free to lean into this right arm as the left hand is up and over. Really playing with it, finding where you get a nice stretch here. Good, inhale, come up. This time, exhale, bring the hands down to the knees. Let's take seated cat-cow as we inhale. Turn green. Inhale, guide the chest forward towards the top of the mat as you glance upwards toward the ceiling. Exhale to round, contract through the spine, tucking the chin in towards the chest. 3 more, just like that, as we breathe. Again, maybe still thinking on that cozy sensation, that perfect ideal cozy place. As we take one last round and come back to our neutral easy pose. Inhaling to lift hands up again. Left hand is going to come down to the floor. This time, right hand is up and over. Side body stretch on the left side, on the right side, sorry. Very good. Inhaling to come back to center as we exhale, bringing those hands right back down to the knees. Let's bring the feet out to the width of our mat. I'll turn to face you for this one. And we're just going to take a little bit of a windshield wiper pose. So using the hands here, you can guide the knees down, both to the right, and kind of lean into that right hip flexor. As you inhale, guide the hips up. You might hear a little popping and cracking, and as long as it's not painful, that's okay. Bring it to the left. Or you can also bring the hands behind you and just kind of rock side to side as you breathe, okay? We're going to do 2 more, just like this. You don't have to force the knees down all the way to the mat. This is one of our first movements, so just do whatever feels comfortable for you. Very good. And then coming back to center, let's take our legs, swing them behind, and come into a little bit of tabletop here. Okay, so for tabletop, we have our shoulders stacked over our elbow, over our wrist, and our hips stacked over our knee. Tops of the feet are pressed into the mat, and the hands are gently rooted into the mat as well. We're gonna take a wrist stretch here. So if you want to, just watch me first and do this slowly, okay? So as I breathe, I'm going to take my left hand and turn my wrist so the wrist is facing the top of the mat. Now if this is inaccessible for you, you can always take a pillow or blanket to kind of give you a little bit more height here, or you don't have to turn your wrist all the way. So do whatever feels comfortable for you. If it doesn't feel comfortable at all, do not take this pose, okay? So once you're here and your fingers are in facing towards the legs, I'm just gonna invite you to rock back slightly, okay? Just a tiny little bit is all you need. Just bringing those hips back just ever so slightly and holding here for just a couple breaths. As we stretch out those wrists, this is a really wonderful pose if you have a 9-to-5 or a computer type of job. Really great to stretch those systems out. Can't speak today. Good. And on the next inhale, you're just going to slowly again rotate and bring the hands back to center, okay? So staying in this position, we're going to take our right leg and we're gonna guide it in between the hands, okay? If you want some blocks here, you can place them under your hands to give you a little bit more height here. Otherwise, we are coming into a little low lunge here. So hands are framing this right foot. There is a nice bend, nice straight line from the knee down to the ankle. Left leg is behind us. We're kind of pressing into that left hip flexor as we glance straight ahead. All right, holding in this low lunge here. Inviting you to come back to that cozy place. And where that is for you, imagine you're doing your flow there. Good, and then on the exhale, keep the hands slightly back, round the fingers to the heel, and then exhale, shift your weight backwards, send the hips back, flex the right toes, and kind of melt the head down towards the knee. Hold in here. You can also, again, keep blocks under the hands here. And you can also roll up your mat to be under this back foot if that would support you a little bit better. Very good. Let's inhale, walk it back to that low lunge. Let's lift up here. Oh, we got the balance. Bring our hands, interlace them behind the back, and gently pull as we glance upwards towards the ceiling. All right, now holding here just a couple breaths, still trying to be cognizant of that front leg and that knee and the line we're creating over the ankle. Feel free to shorten or widen the stance here. And if this is a little bit harder for you, you can always kind of bring your hands to your hips and just imagine arching or bringing that chest forward, okay? Good, let's exhale. Bring the hands right back down to the mat, and then send the hips back, send the foot back, coming into tabletop once more, okay? We're just gonna switch sides. So as we inhale, step that left foot in between the hands. Let's come up into our low lunge, keeping that nice line as we talked about, really digging into that right leg or right hip flexor, gazing forward. Feel free to come up onto your fingertips as well if you want a little bit more height, but maybe you don't want to block. And don't be afraid to peel back the shoulders and roll them down towards the spine. Great work. Let's exhale, send the hips back. Walk the hands in just a little bit here, flex the toes, and melt our heads down towards that left knee. Now you don't have to come super far here to get the stretch, so just come where is comfortable, okay? How comfortable, yet we're feeling that stretch. You can also definitely round through the back here. Good, inhale, walk it back. Come back into that original low lunge. Let's take that low lunge variation, inhaling to come up, bringing the hands behind the back, and gently arching the chest forward as we glance up towards the ceiling. Again, I will ask if this is uncomfortable to bring your hands to your hips instead. Or you can also keep your hands on the floor on some blocks right here to give you a nice little bit of height. Good, exhale, hands right back down to the mat. let's bring that left foot back in so that we're once again back at our tabletop position. And this time we are going to tuck the toes, lift through the hips, coming into our downward facing dog. So once we're in this downward facing dog, we're going to paddle the feet out, give a little bit of stretch here to the calves. You can also have your mat under your hands or under your feet for this pose. You can make your stance in your down dog as short or as wide as you would like. Good. Let's take some spinal flow here. So we're not going to do a full chaturanga, but what we are going to do is we're going to inhale and just roll. So really pressing into the upper back, almost as if we're coming into that cat pose. And then just coming back up into our down dog. So really trying to create a nice fluid movement here if we can, really exploring kind of a plank to down dog transition. We'll do one more spinal roll here. Good, come back to your downward facing dog. Exhale as you invite your knees down to the width of the mat, big toes touch. Send the hips back, child's pose. Invitation always remains, if this is a little bit much on the hips, to slide a block directly under the pelvis, or if it's a little bit on the arms, you can always stack one arm on top of the other and just rest the head here, okay? So whichever variation you take, just a couple breaths here. Maybe regrounding and recentering into that cozy space we were just chatting about. Breathe. Very good. Let's walk the hands out if they were stacked. If not, you can just lift up to your fingertips. Bring the feet directly behind you. Let's just walk the body forward to come down onto our forearms, coming into our Sphinx pose. Forearms here are flush to the mat. Fingers are spread nice and wide. The shoulder is directly over the elbow. And we're just going to, again, imagine peeling our shoulder blades down towards the lower part of the spine. Pressing the tops of the feet into the mat here, nice engagement there. Good, let's lower down, slide the hands to front of the chest, and just flip over, coming into your corpse pose, coming to lay down in any position that is comfortable for you. So in this position, I will invite you to, again, either lay flush to the mat in corpse position, so hands facing upwards towards the sky, or you can also bring the feet to the width of the mat and let the knees fall into each other, or you can take your Shavasana seated. And the Shavasana for just a couple breaths. We'll come back and recenter, allow our breath to return to its natural rhythm and come back to that cozy space we were in earlier. And maybe we'll give it a little bit more attention. So imagining what it looks like, how it smells, what we're doing in this space. Maybe we think on who's with us here. And we'll just focus on where that place of comfort and cozy and grounding lies for us. Maybe it's a real place, maybe it's somewhere we haven't been yet. So we'll just take a couple of breaths to really imagine ourselves there, fully relaxed and grounded. And I'll tell you when it's time to come up. I will invite you to gently bring yourself back to consciousness, maybe blinking the eyes open, wiggling fingers and toes, Or you can also, instead of coming up to seat, you can still lay here if that is comfortable for you, if you're enjoying your cozy space. All right, regardless, when you are ready, we will inhale, lift hands all the way up overhead, holding everything we've created for ourselves today in our hands. And as we exhale, we guide all of that down to heart center where it never leaves, bowing forward. Namaste. Thank you so much for flowing with me today. It was my pleasure, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye.